is the development of the probability theory.
When discussing the probability theory, the classic example given is always the toss coin, in which the two possible outcomes are the head and the tail. Next example is tossing a die, in which there are 6 possible outcomes. Now, where did dice come from? People have been throwing knuckle bones since at least 5000 BC in ancient Sumer, now called the southern Iraq. So the characteristics of this astral bone is its peculiar oblong shape, and it can rest on only 4 sides. Now, these astral bone were grinded down until a rough cube was formed. These dice were used in games that later on became gambling and in astragalomancy, an ancient form of divination. Let us talk about gaming cards. The first playing cards were known as sheet dice. These were invented in China during the Tang Dynasty. In the 11th century, playing cards began to spread across Asia and reached Egypt. These playing cards were from the 12th and 13th century of the early Mamluk periods. These were called Mamluk court cards. Then, as the merchants from Islamic Mamluk dynasty in Egypt began exports, playing cards first appeared in Italy or Spain in the 1370s. These were called the Latin suits cards. About 1500, the French developed the present-day variety of spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds. The now stylized face cards were originally portraits of actual persons. For instance, the 4 kings were the biblical David, the king of spades, Charlemagne, the king of hearts, Alexander the Great, the king of clubs, and Julius Caesar, the king of diamonds. Gambling led Girolamo Cardano to write Liber de Ludo Alei. It is considered the major starting point of the study of mathematical probability. Moving on to the 17th century, the London merchant John Grant was the first to draw an extensive set of statistical inferences from mass data. John Grant was known as the father of demography because of his book entitled The Natural and Political Observations that was based on the London's Bill of Mortality. It was the statistics for the 57 years from 1604 to 1661 were reduced to a series of tables. These researches secured for Grant the honor of being one of the Charter Fellows of the Royal Society of London when it was founded in 1660. Next, Blaise Pascal, born in 1623 and died in 1662. In 1635, he found out the sum of triangles' interior angles were 2 right angles. In 1639, he proposed the Pascal's mystic hexagon, and in 1644, he invented the first arithmetic machine, also known as Pascaline. In 1654, the treatise on the arithmetical triangle was published. It explains how to construct and apply the remarkable configuration known today as Pascal's triangle. In 1655, Blaise Pascal invented the roulette wheel, which is an example of a perpetual motion machine.
Now let's go to the beautiful country called Switzerland. In this land, the Bernoulli brothers were born. They are Jacob Bernoulli and Johann Bernoulli. First, let's talk about Jacob Bernoulli. He is also known as James or Jacques Bernoulli. He was born on January 6, 1655 on Basel, Switzerland. He is one of the first mathematicians to understand and teach Leibniz differential calculus. He is also known for fundamental probability concepts. Jacob Bernoulli discovered the famous probability concepts such as the law of large numbers and the Bernoulli distribution. And he is the first one to discover the mathematical constant E, which means constantly increasing. We usually saw this constant in our scientific calculator. He is also the author of The Art of Conjecturing. This book contains a lot of information about probability concepts and ideas. Next is Jacob's younger brother Johann Bernoulli, who is born on August 6, 1667 in Basel, Switzerland. He is a professor of mathematics at Groningen in the Netherlands in 1695. He is one of the key figures in the development of calculus. Johann loves to challenge people, including Galileo. That's why he created this brachistochrone problem. What is the fastest path for a ball to follow if it rolls down a track between 2 points? And the answer for this one is the cycloid. Galileo and other mathematicians already figured out the answer, but they explained it in a conceptual manner, while Johann Bernoulli uses calculus to explain this one. Are you familiar with the L'Hopital's rule? We usually use this whenever we are dealing with the limits of the function that involves indeterminate form. The true author of that is Johann Bernoulli. He explained how to solve those indeterminate forms to L'Hopital, and then L'Hopital published this book called The Analyse. So, Johann is the true author of most of the substance of this book. The English translation of this book is The Analysis of Infinitely Small to Understand the Curves. Now, let's go to the country called France. One famous mathematician whose name is Pierre-Simon Laplace was born in this country on March 23, 1749. He was a French scholar and polymath. A polymath is a mathematician whose expertise is not limited to one, but rather many branches of mathematics. Laplace is the author of the book Théorie analytique des probabilités. It contains different statistical methods and applications related to probability. Pierre is also popular for the rule of succession and the concept of determinism. The concept of determinism tells us that if you already know the current situation of something, then you can find its past and what will happen in the future. Well, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching.